Sister Symphonie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, Symphonie, is that your given name?
Yes, it's originally from in Vietnamese. So when I came here, it's easier for people to call. So I translated to Symphony.
But your actual name means symphony.
Correct.
Wow. So it's not a name that you chose when you became a nun.
No, it's my father gave me that name.
Okay.
So because he loves classical music, so his dream for me was to become a classical musician. So he named me as Symphony.
Wow.
And actually, I'm a symphony, third symphony, because my mom has a miscarriages twice before me. So that's a Symphony 1, Symphony 2, and then myself is Symphony 3.
Wow. Okay. And then I understand you have sisters as well?
Yes, I have two sisters, and my sister's name Melody and Harmony.
That is awesome. Symphony, Melody, and Harmony. And then all of those are in Vietnamese.
They are in Vietnamese, and we translate it to English.
How do you say your name in Vietnamese?
Giao-Huong.
Giao-Huong. Okay. And it's easier for people to just call you Symphonie, especially.
Yes, because when I first came, I tried to teach people to say my name. Either they say Yahoo or Giao-Huong. It's just very difficult for them to pronounce. And until this moment, that not a lot of people can pronounce my last name.
Okay.
So Ngo.
Ngo. Oh, because of the NG.
The NG, yes.
Okay. And you were with St. Faustina for a while.
Yes.
And that was, what years were you here at St. Faustina?
I believe it's 2017 and to 2018.
2017, 2018, you were working with the kids.
With the children choir.
Okay, and so you do have a background in music.
I graduated in University of Houston.
Okay.
In music education.
Okay, so did you grow up here in Houston?
I came to Houston in 2007. I was born and raised in Vietnam.
Okay, 2007. How old were you when you came here? You don't mind me asking.
No, I'm turning 21 when I came.
When you came here. Okay, so you spent pretty much your entire childhood up until adulthood in Vietnam.
Right.
Did you speak English in Vietnam?
Very little. We learned English in school.
Okay.
But most of the time it's grammar and building sentences and vocabularies. We didn't really listening and talking in English. So when I first came here, that's two major skills that I have to learn and improve.
Speaking and reading and
speaking and listening.
And listening in English.
Yes. It's hard. I can look at the English and the practices. I can do the work. But when I hear people talk, I couldn't understand their accent pronunciations because somehow the Vietnamese people, we pronounce differently.
Yes.
Majority of the time, I have to lips reading a lot, like looking at people and try to guess the word. And it took me forever to process and translate it from Vietnamese to English and English back to Vietnamese. So it took me a long time to get one sentence out.
And then one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is very difficult is slang and figures of speech and idioms and all of that.
Correct.
And because a lot of them are very cultural. So even if you can speak English, there's still those figures of speech that people aren't familiar with sometimes if you're not from the same culture.
That's right.
So you went from... So was it after you graduated high school that you came here to the United States?
So I graduated high school, and back then I had two schools. I studied in two schools. One academic school and the other one is music school.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You were 21. Yes.
So after finish the academic years, I continue in the college of the music school. So for 1.5 years, my family decided to have me study abroad. So they did all the paperwork with the help of my godmother in Houston. And she sponsored me to come to Houston to study.
Wow. For music?
for music.
So this wasn't religious studies at all?
No. It's just to improve my music background.
Was there a lot of pressure for you since you were named Symphony?
It was. Back when I was little, I didn't really comfortable with my name because it's just too different. Like nobody names Symphony.
Yes, it's very unique.
Nobody. And it's just like, oh, should I use that name? And oh, do I have to fulfill my my father's expectations to become a good musician? But the more I learn music, and everyone knows that my family and my teachers know that I have the gift of music.
Okay.
And I learned to love music. I am making music and studying music. So I became more comfortable with my name eventually. No more pressure, I think. I like it. It's unique.
What instrument? Yes, very unique. What instruments do you play?
I was major in piano.
Piano?
Yes.
Okay. Piano. And then how old were you when you started learning to play the piano?
My father was my first teacher. So according to him, he taught me around 3.5, 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
And
that early.
We were not, I can say that we were poor at that time.
Okay.
So he bought me a very little electric keyboard. And then he taught me notes by notes. He's a music teacher. And I learned music from him. And by the year of 5, I can sing and play the keyboard at the same time.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
5 years old.
Yes.
How about your sisters? The same?
I think I have the long process of entering the professional music school. So for some reason, my parents put all of their efforts on me.
Oh, wow.
And then it kind of relaxed on my sisters so they can do whatever that they wanted to. Melody has a love for music, but she didn't like to study music as a profession.
Okay.
Harmony, my younger sister, she loves music. She has a gift for music, but unfortunately, my parents didn't pay much attention to that skill when she was little.
She didn't hone it.
She didn't hold that.
Okay. And you're the eldest?
I'm the oldest of the family, yes.
Okay. Any brothers? No.
No brothers.
So all girls. Symphony, melody, and then harmony.
Yes.
That is awesome. I can't get over that. Those are awesome names.
Thank you.
When I told my son that your name is Symphony and your sister's Melody and Harmony, he was like, "Why didn't you name me something like that?" I didn't think about that. It's awesome. It's very unique.
Yes.
So, speaking of your youth in Vietnam, did you grow up Catholic?
Yes. The family are Catholic, so.
Okay. But I understand there's a lot of Buddhists in Vietnam as well. What is it like, growing up Catholic in Vietnam?
I didn't pay much attention to the religious differences when I were growing up because we didn't mention too much of our religions.
Okay.
At school, I didn't even know my friends were Catholic or Buddhist or anything. So we just we just play together. And at church, we just know our family. On Sunday, we go into church, or weekday, sometime that if we have time, that we will go to church too. And it's no barriers for us, but when I grew up, we all know that Catholics kind of limited within the parishes. We cannot go out to tell people that, oh, I'm a Catholic, or sharing too much about it for some reason because of the communist country.
Okay.
So
was that difficult? Kind of having to stay inside
for me,
yourself?
I had no problem with that. But maybe for the adults who know more at that time, and they understood more the situation. But for the community that I lived with, we very friendly and everything. It's just like, oh, you practice your faith and others practice their faith. So, and a lot of people were Catholic. are Catholic.
Okay, so you just keep amongst yourselves in terms of that. Okay.
It's only 5 minutes from my house to the church, so walking.
Okay. Where in Vietnam did you grow up?
Saigon.
Saigon. Was that anywhere near where Father Dad grew up?
I don't think so. He's in Biên Hòa, I think.
Okay.
It's about 3 hours drive.
Okay. So no chance that you guys ran into each other.
No way.
Just wondering. So your parents sent you here to the United States for music.
Right.
And then where did you go to school again?
I went to HCC, Houston Community College first for my English.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's a good move. Yes. To first work on your English because it's, I mean, that jump from learning just basic sentences, like you were saying, to academic, going into, university studies, it's very difficult. So how long were you in HCC?
1 year and a half.
Okay. And then you felt like you were ready to go into university.
Yes. I personally didn't feel that I was ready. But my professor, the music teacher at HCC, she kept pushing me. She said, no, Symphonie, you need to move to the different school, to the university, so you can develop your skills. I would love to teach you here, but I feel like that I kept you back. I held you back. That's what she said. So she don't want to push me, and I appreciated her a lot.
So in hindsight, you think that was the right decision?
Definitely, yes.
Because I had an experience similar, but it was the other way around. When my dad retired from the Navy, we moved to the Philippines where he grew up, and I had to learn the language there. And so I had that, that backwards experience of trying to learn. And yes, there is a crutch.
That's true.
And you at some point, you just have to get pushed into it. It's like sink or swim, and so you jumped into that. So you went into
University U of H, yes.
Okay, and then what did you study there?
So at first, I studied double major music education and piano performance.
Wow.
And for 2 years.
Okay.
And later on, I decided to focus on one. So I continue with music education. It's related to part of it, my personal choice, and part of it because I wanted to become a sister. So.
Okay. And when did you have the first thoughts of becoming a sister?
When I was 4 years old.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Can you explain how you got those thoughts and how that started and how it grew?
Like I mentioned at the very beginning that my mom has a difficulty of getting pregnant.
Okay.
Before. So according to her, that she prayed a lot when she was pregnant with me inside. And she dedicated me to God to marry. And she said, please give this child and then I will offer her to you and things like that. And I grew up and around, I don't know where the thought came from. My mom told me, I didn't recall that actually, that around 4 years old that I would tell her that, I would love to be a sister who served, like the sister who served in our parish. So to take care of the poor and to teach the children and things like that.
So there were sisters in your parish.
Right.
Do you think that is important to have sisters serving
Definitely,
in the parish?
It's like kind of a witness for the church. We see priests, deacons, brothers, and seminaries. Yes, it's very important. But also, we need to have a sister in the parish too.
That's why I'm so glad you're here right now to talk with us. So, throughout growing up, did you always have the thought of entering religious life, or was it just something that you just thought about now and then?
Okay. As a musical person, I might burst out into songs to explain my situation, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So to answer your question, I will sing this one and then see if you can catch the ideas to it.
Okay.
When I was just a little girl, my mother asked me, what would I be? I told her, I'll be a nun, wear full habit, take care of the orphans and the poor. She told me, "Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future not out to see. Que sera, sera." When I grew up and fell in love, my mother asked me, "What will I be?" I told her, "I'll be a wife with my handsome husband. I'll have a boy, a girl, and a cat." Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future not out to see. Que sera, sera. If you want to make God laugh, tell him all your plans.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
That's pretty much of 18 years of my life, kind of story.
So you said in there that you fell in love. So tell us about that. How old were you?
18.
You were 18. And this was in Vietnam.
It was in Vietnam, yes.
So you met a young man and you fell in love.
We were not a stranger. We went to preschool and kindergarten together.
Okay.
And then we lost contact until 6th grade. For some reason, not for some reason, but I was in the middle school where his mom taught math.
Okay.
There. So we got it back in contact. And my maths were so bad at that time. So she offered me to tutor me at her home with my friend and the other cousins too.
Okay.
So we all studied together in that summer, and we lost contact again until 12th grade. My uncle was a music teacher, and for some reason he taught my friend. And on that summer, I went to his house to have some modern music from him, to learn from him. And I met my friend again there. And I invited him to go to my 18th birthday. And it started from there.
Okay. So he's a musician as well? Or
he loves music, and he loved to learn to play the guitar and some of the keyboards. Yeah.
So how long were you dating?
It was 2 years.
2 years? Wow, that was pretty serious then for 2 years.
But it was long distance too, because after 6 months, his family moved to the U.S.
Okay, where in the U.S.?
California.
Oh, wow. Okay, and so you had a long distance relationship, and then I guess it just didn't work out from there?
I didn't think so. And then we were too young at that time too.
Okay.
And really, it's difficult, and our views are different, and religions are different.
Okay.
Too.
What was his religion?
Buddhist.
Okay.
That's what was your question.
yes. That's a very, that's a huge obstacle.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Did you ever try to get, in contact with him when you came here to the U.S.?
We are friends.
Okay.
We still have, say happy birthday to each other during, every year though. But we didn't talk that much anymore.
Okay.
He has a beautiful family now with 2 children and wife.
Okay. Was there any other relationships after that?
No.
So just that one semi-serious relationship that just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
And then, so when did you really seriously start thinking about becoming a nun?
So I thought seriously when I was at 10th grade. Actually, I came to the sister at the parish that I mentioned before.
Yes.
So they saw me went to mass every morning, and the mass there is 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So I didn't know why I have the urge to go to mass during that time. And the sister saw me there, and then they took that opportunity to say, "Oh, Symphonie, I think you have the vocation. Why don't you just come to our congregation and get to know us for 10 days?" I said, "Yeah, I would love to, but I have to ask my parents' permission." And my parents let me go. And I loved it.
How old were you at this point?
10 years. 10th grade is about 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
About that time.
Wow. For a 15-year-old to get up that early in the morning.
I didn't
to go to
know
mass.
the reason, actually. I think for some reason that I said, I need to go to mass.
Okay. So what happened next after you?
So I loved that, and then I promised her that I came back for next year. Come and see, because they don't take the vocation after you graduate high school.
Mm-hmm.
So they invited me back in the second year, but I think there was some reason that I couldn't make it because of the schoolwork.
Okay.
That I couldn't make the following year, and the third year that I was in the relationship, so I decided not to go.
Yeah, so that third year you were in that relationship, so for another couple of years. So then when that relationship fizzled out, how old were you?
So about 20 years old.
Okay.
And when I made up my mind to stay in relationship and not become or discerning to become a sister anymore, that was a serious decision. Because back in time, in my mind, and a lot of Vietnamese people's mind too, to discern to be a religious sister, you have to be totally pure, not into any relationship. Like you totally dedicate yourself to God and God's people, and not engaging any other relationship, right?
Okay.
So after I made that decision, I said, I'm not worthy, or I'm not eligible to discern it to be a sister.
Just because you had a relationship.
Yeah, it's just like very normal, and any girls, any boy get into relationship. But to me, that's important. I made that decision. So I stay in this relationship, so I'm not worthy to become a sister anymore.
So that's what the thinking is.
So
for Vietnamese people.
Right. I hope that not many people think that way anymore. So I stopped that thinking. I said, maybe it's not for me, the religious life.
Okay.
So we decided I decided to move forward to go to the US to study.
Okay.
And without any thinking of become a sister anymore.
So that was already gone from your mind. You already said, okay, I'm going to go into the private sector. I'm going to become a musician. And that's
right. That's my focus point at that time. That's focus on my career first. I have a very clear plan for me. So I said, by 25, I get my graduate, like master degree.
Okay.
And after that, I will have my own family and started my own family after that. So that's from 20 to 25. I have 5 years old gold.
Okay.
To make, to
so
accomplish.
Then what happened?
And when I came here, my godmother, the one who sponsored me to come.
Yes.
And she has a love for religious life. And she loved to have her children, like she has a boy and a girl, and myself, her goddaughter, to join religious life, like all three of us. So she convinced her daughter and myself to go to come and see in the Vietnamese Dominican sisters.
Oh, wow.
And I would gladly obey to come. But I said, okay, I just come, and then it won't hurt that much. So I went, and I was absolutely love it, because I think the desire is still in me, but I just want to suppress it down. And the sisters were so welcoming and so nice and so kind, and they're young too. So they created a lot of events and activities to get us knowing God and knowing their lives and understood what religious life were about. And after that, I said, okay, maybe, just maybe, that I will be thinking again of religious life. So that's a turning point for me. I think about 1 year after I came to the US.
Okay, so you were still in college at that point.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you said that was a turning point for you, but did you finish your studies in the University of Houston?
Yes.
Okay, so you still hadn't completely gone 100% into religious life yet.
No, so that's just a common see for the Vietnamese Dominican.
Okay.
And after that's only for a week.
Okay.
And in my mind, I still love Vietnamese culture, Vietnamese food, Vietnamese people, and I'm not comfortable with American in general. It's just...
Of course, you were still new to the country for just a year.
And I love the habit of the sister. It's beautiful. And it just, in my dream, when I was little, I want to wear the habit, you see?
Okay.
And it just, I really cannot comprehend God's work for me or God's plans for me, because it changed totally what I have planned. And then eventually it's become like totally different plan that I never dreamt of. So I want to have it. I want the Vietnamese food. I want the Vietnamese sisters, the congregation. But a few months after the convency, the sister have the youth rally.
Okay.
I think the diocesan have the youth rally, and the Dominican Vietnamese sisters invited my goddaughters, my godmother's daughter, and myself to that event. And it happened to be at the Villa de Mattel, so where I'm at right now.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first time I went there and met Sister Kim Tran and the Vietnamese sister there. And we kept contact. And then she invited me back and forth to visit the community and have some retreat there. At that time, she first started, she had the Vietnamese retreat. So I was comfortable there because I speak in Vietnamese and Vietnamese, so she cooked Vietnamese food. So I drew into that community, but I never thought that I would join them. However, the more I been in contact with the sisters, not with Sister Kim only, but with the other Irish sisters within the community, I was so comfortable there. I was so at peace there. Their hospitality was wonderful. I felt always welcome. And with my broken English, they was sitting there and try to understand me and try to keep me talking about myself and try to share their life with me slowly, word by word, so I could understand them. So I just wanted to come back and forth, to come back to their community. And after a year, after the I think the retreat, I told Sister Kim that, sister, so if I move to University of Houston, it's only couple exits down from the convent. Is it possible if I can stay at this community to discern while going to the University of Houston? To study. So it's like perfectly planned, right? She said, I'm sorry, Symphonie, because we never have that situation before. And with the liability of the congregation. So we maybe cannot accept that request yet. So I said, oh, maybe it's not for me. So I forgot about that.
Oh, so you put it in the back of your mind again, discerning.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Did you feel that if there weren't any Vietnamese sisters, it would have been more of an obstacle for you, or do you think you eventually still would have found the sisters and eventually still would have spoken with them and discerned if there were no Vietnamese speaking sisters.
There was one Vietnamese that's the vocation director there. So that's only one.
Oh, just one. It wasn't a group.
No, it wasn't a group.
Okay.
And I said I put it back in my mind. But after a month, I received a call from Sister Kim.
Again.
She said, Symphonie, your request would be into prayer. Every morning when I woke up and then went to the chapel, and it just occurred back to me as your request. And I already talked with the superior, the general leader, that your request, and she approved that.
Oh, wow.
And if you want, you can come to check out the place and decide to go or to come to stay with us for a month or so. So we can arrange that with you. And my father was visiting me at that time. So I shared that decision with him.
How did he react?
For some reason, my parents know that I have the call for religious life. And my father was a former seminarian.
Okay.
So he's very cool with that. He supported.
Very open to
my decision, yes. He said that if I like to do, but I would like to come with you to see the play. So I have a peace in mind and things like that. So where you are and what you're going to do and things like that. And my godmother took myself and my dad go to the convent. And Sister Kim showed that the room that I would stay and around the congregation. And my dad was totally fine with it. He said, okay, whenever you decide to move in, you're welcome. My godmother's kind of hesitated a little bit. She would prefer me to join the Vietnamese community.
Okay.
Yes.
So is this a common thing, or is this like one of the first times they've done that, have a college student stay in the convent while going?
That's the very first time that happened, and they had it since then.
Oh, that's good. So you're the trailblazer.
I'm happy to be that.
That's awesome. So normally, what would the process have been for somebody who wanted to become a nun?
They call the first stage is affiliate. That people come to spend prayer time or lunchtime or just hang around for a day and to see how the sisters living and doing and ministering. But they don't live there.
Okay.
They can come any major event or holidays if they want to come, or they just want to spend overnight with the sisters.
Okay, that's called an affiliate.
Right.
Okay.
Affiliate, the very first stage. And after my case, so affiliate, you have the option to still stay outside or stay in.
Okay.
Within the discernment house. The reason was is not many people, let me rephrase, a lot of people already have their own life.
Yes.
Like they have their houses, their car, their job, and everything.
Yes.
So they might be from Dallas, California, and Georgia. So we cannot require them to drop everything and then come to the congregation right away.
That's true.
Yes.
That's too much.
So the whole process, the affiliate stage, at least for 1 year, but it can be more.
Okay.
So people can get to know the sister for a year, and then they can decide, sell their house, car, or just give it to someone to take care of for that period of time.
While you're still in the discernment process. Okay.
And then come to the discernment house for 3 months, 6 months to see if you fit it in with the congregation.
So for those 6 months, what are you're still an affiliate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're just living the life with them, going through the whole routine and all of that. Is that what you were doing while you were in college?
Mm-hmm. For those in Houston, you have the choice to keep your job. You just need to be there for prayer and mass and doing your job. But just to be there.
Okay.
To get to know the sister, get to know you. You get to know the sister.
Okay, so you can have a regular job and then after work go to the convent as an affiliate and then just go to mass and just go through whatever routine they have there.
Right. So for my case, is my ministry was studying. So I go to school 7 days a week and everything. It's just I spend not too much time with the sister actually because of the academic work and the practices too. But they were very understanding and support me totally.
So did this go on all throughout your college?
Yes.
So you were an affiliate for several years, huh?
That's the sister teased me that I'm the longest affiliate person in the congregation.
So usually it's how long?
So I said that a year or so.
Usually a year or so.
A year or 2 years, kind of like that. So if you're ready, they will move you up to the next stage.
And how long were you an affiliate?
So let's see. Now I have to count. 5 years.
Wow, 5 years of it.
5 years.
Wow. Okay, so after those 5 years, was it right after graduation that you decided to move on to the next step, or did it take a little while longer?
So I graduated on 20th of December 2013.
Okay.
And I entered the next stage, what's called postulancy.
Okay.
So that on the January 4th, 2014, so only a week or so. More than a week, 10 days after graduation. So, and then I moved to St. Louis shortly after that. St. Louis, Missouri for the formation house.
Okay, so during college you already knew, okay, this is what I'm after graduation, I'm going to go 100% in. Did you close yourself off to the possibility of having another relationship?
I think I would not say closing off. I was still open for it.
Okay.
But not like, oh, I have to find someone.
So you weren't looking, but
no.
But it was still
because the sister always reminded me that no obligation to stay here. The moment you feel like you're not at peace here anymore, just please tell us, and then you can leave anytime. No pressure, no
at all. Okay, that's nice that they didn't make you feel like you were pressured to stay or that you were. And sometimes that scares people when they feel like they're pressured.
That's true. At first I was pressured. The reason was I had everything there, like the food there, the good place to sleep, and then I can do everything there. The prayer that the prayer life that I looking for, I had it there. And I can still go out to hang out with my friends and can still go to school and things like that. It's so perfect. It made me scared. And it's pressured me. Oh, I had to do something for the sisters. Oh, maybe I can offer my life for that. But it's not the healthy thinking.
Yes.
So I need to know what is my decision and my discernment. I really want to be.
So you pressured yourself.
I pressure myself. No one pressured me, only myself.
So at what point did you say, okay, this is it, 100%, I'm going into this? Was that...
I think the strongest point was I moved in, not become an affiliate yet. It's just like a candidate. Like you just get to know the sister. January 19, 2009. And then I was so close with one of the sisters, and she's an artist too.
Okay.
And she painted beautifully paintings and things like that. and she got sick, and she was admitted to the hospital, and not too long after that, she died.
Oh, no.
And I visited her after her surgery, but she was unconscious at that time.
Mm-hmm.
After that, for some reason that I said I needed to make a decision now, because I feel so strong that I would love to dedicate myself to God and God's people. I just looking at her on the dying bed, actually.
So you got inspiration from her?
Because she's so nice. She's 90-something years old at that
Wow.
time. And she always welcome and always be nice to me. And it's just like a grandma. Like, it just want to do the best for you. And when I looked at her, I said, I want to be like her. To be the joy, the peace for people. Until my old age like that.
So you want to do to other people what she did for you.
Yes.
Make you feel, as welcome and as comforted. Was there any point where you seriously doubted and almost quit? What was the lowest point, or that one turning point where you almost?
The thing is, as mentioned, I was the oldest. So the responsibility that I had for myself, that I need to take care of my siblings and my parents. So Harmony and Melody came to the U.S. too as international students as well.
Okay.
So when I decided to move to St. Louis, that when I had to decide that I left my sisters behind.
Okay, the responsibility as the eldest sister. Because we did have Deacon Houston in here, and he said that was pretty difficult for him, especially the first year of being a seminarian. Just the thought that you're abandoning your family. Did you feel any guilt because of that?
I think there's time that I feel guilt too, because I said that religious life for me is something that too beautiful. And whenever that I saw my siblings have a little difficult time, or something happened to my parents, but I couldn't be there for them, or I thought I would do a lot of things for them if I was there. So that's made me feel guilty that, I should do this. I shouldn't be here. I should be with my family and things like that. But those times I had to really bring myself into prayer, because after prayer that I would realize that our family received more than we have lost, because I'm in the religious life. Like, God bless my family abundantly. So those who are like unfortunate issues, problems, only the minor things that it's hurt sometimes, but it can be resolved.
Okay.
So that comforted, and it's not one time only. It will occur several times, a lot of time in my life. But I knew how to deal with it more than very first time.
Okay. So when your sisters came, were you able to help them out to get started?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you weren't fully yet into religious life, or were you already?
So I was in religious life, but I said that it's just affiliate stage. So you still come and go out and be with your sisters and help them. And I still teaching piano at that time, so I used my salaries to help my sisters.
Okay, and they're both here in the United States now?
To Houston.
In Houston. Okay. What about your parents?
My parents are still in Vietnam.
They're still in Vietnam. Are you able to go and visit them?
This year supposedly my year to have a home visit. But
okay.
Yeah.
How often do you get to, go back and visit
Every
them?
2 years.
Okay, that's not so bad.
No, not too bad.
Okay, so let's continue with the process.
Mm-hmm.
So you finally decide, okay, I'm going to go into the next stage is the postulant stage.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like? What is your life like there as a postulant?
So the day I went to St. Louis, to the airport to go to St. Louis,
Mm-hmm.
I cried like the day I left Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Houston, like I said, here like 6 years in Houston. So Houston became my second home, where I knows everyone and have the relationship with different groups and people.
Yes.
And my parents happened to visit it at that time too. So my parents, my sisters, and other sisters, the religious sister, said goodbye to me.
So they were all here. Oh, wow. That's harder.
That was hard. I felt like I left Vietnam the second time. I was so hard. I cried in the car. I cried at the airport. I cried on the plane until we get into St. Louis. I never cried that much before. Even when I left Vietnam, I cried so much on that day. And St. Louis welcomed me with 10 inches snow.
Wow.
And I hate the cold weather.
How cold does it get in Vietnam? Not cold at all, huh?
In the south, it's not cold at all, like 60s max.
Okay.
Yeah, the slowest one.
Okay, so yeah, not really that cold.
In the north, it gets colder, but not in the south. Yeah.
But growing up, you didn't really get the cold temperature. So St. Louis, it must have been something else because Houston doesn't get that cold either. So.
I suffered already in Houston, so now I had to go to St. Louis for that snow.
Well, Houston weather is kind of crazy. Yeah, you get different seasons within the same day.
Yes. So back to the day. So I went there. The postulant year, it used to be 1 year, but now it's 2 years.
Okay.
So at my time, it's only 1 year. So we learn about the history, the charism of the congregation, and to live community life. That's one of the important points for religious life too. We have 3 people in that house at that time.
Okay.
So for a year, we did that much. We can go. Also we go out for 1 day a week for ministry, for volunteer. So I was volunteer as one of the Catholic school.
So why St. Louis?
Our formation house there.
Okay.
And the decision that because of they have the good theology school there.
Okay.
The Aquinas Institute.
Okay.
And they surrounded with a lot of religious congregation. So, and also they have the program called Inter-Novitiate Community.
Okay.
Inter-Community Novitiate. That each congregation have like 2 candidates. 1 candidate, 5 candidates. So we will meet once a week to learn together. In the past, or from the congregation have more vocations, they can have that classes within their congregation. But for our congregation, we don't have that many vocations, like to operate a class for them.
Okay.
And not to have that many of interactions of different people.
Yes.
To create a healthier lifestyle. So we have men and women study together once a week for a year.
Okay, and the men were discerning to become
priests or brothers.
Okay. So what led you to this? So what order are you in right now?
We are Sister of Charity of the Incarnate Word, Houston. Okay,
so why this particular order? What brought you to this? Are there any other choices that you could have,
So I mentioned before that I was first met the Vietnamese Dominican sisters.
Yes.
But God led me to this congregation by chance with a youth rally.
Okay.
That when that I met the sisters there, and I just felt peace, and
you were drawn to them.
Yeah, for very special and unexplainable reasons, I just drawn to them because of their way of presenting themselves very naturally and lovingly and welcomely.
Okay. And then so you landed in St. Louis, and you said that you're there 7 days a week, but one day you go out. So that was for 2 years, you said?
For 1 year for me,
Okay, but then later on it became 2 years.
Right.
Okay, so after that 1 year, what happens?
So if I'm ready and the congregation say that I'm ready, they will accept me to novitiate. And novitiate have 2 years. One is a canonical year, which is very limited for you to get in contact with a lot of people, that you will focus a lot on learning about congregation, charism, and yourself. So that year I had to learn a lot about myself. And I didn't like that year at all.
So that was the most difficult year. That first year. So you're totally closed off to a lot of the world.
With our congregation, we not totally closed off because, like I mentioned, we have the ICN, the Intercommunity Novitiate. So we at least go to that day, that day to meet other people. But they recommended that we don't get in contact with many people. We cannot go out for hang out too many times. Maybe once in a while.
So just limited.
Limited. And at my time, we still have cell phone at that time. So the sister just recommended or told us, not recommended, told us that not to use it until a weekend. So they trust that we will follow that. But for recent time, at this time that the sister who are in novitiate there, so they don't have phone for themselves. They will have the common phone, like community phone.
Okay.
They will take turn to make the phone call.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that 1 year, that's the most difficult year.
Right.
How's the second year? How is it different from the...
The second year is still in novitiate. Yes. However, the first half of the year depends on the person actually. Either you go out for ministry, to go to different community of the congregation to experience of that community and go out to minister to any needs according to your gift or any availability at that area. And the second half is you go back to the novitiate house and reflect back what you have done for the past 2, 3, 4 years, or the whole process of discernment, and to make a retreat and just to reveal the history, charism, everything. And then you will write your request to make in the first vow.
Okay, so at this point, you can still turn back.
You can still turn back.
Because you haven't made your vows. So after 5 years of being an affiliate, 1 year as a novitiate.
Postulant.
Postulant, excuse me. And then 2 years of a novitiate. Then you're ready to take your vows.
Right, I was.
Okay, so tell me about that. What was it like, leading up to taking your vows?
My first vows, that one of the sisters told me one thing that I remember until now, that usually first vow, annual vow we call, that we can renew every year.
Okay.
But the sister said that Symphonie, remember one thing, that the decision you make to make your first vows, think of that your final vows. Think that way.
Treat your first annual vow as if it were the final one. That's it.
The reason was that, I just make it's dangerous to think, oh, I just make my first vow now, and then maybe or maybe not, I continue, or I just wait what's gonna happen before my final vows. She said, no, think it carefully. It's good for you to think it now. It's good for discern later, but it's good to make the decision, make up your mind now. That's it. You make your first vow as your final vows. So I put that in my retreat, put that thinking in my retreat and thought it very well. And I felt peace at that decision. I know things can change and things might change. But at that moment, I felt like I made a decision, good decision. And I was at peace with that decision.
And so you made your first vows and you said that it's an annual thing. So at this point, you're a full-fledged nun already or not yet?
Not yet.
What happens? What are the other steps?
So, you would call it what do you explain the full-fledged nun?
I mean, like you're 100% in, like you're,
It's tricky. In your professor sisters are a sister, a religious sister, a nun, and fully a nun. And we had 3 vows, like other nuns.
Okay.
However, that only until your final vows that you completely belong to the congregation.
Okay, there you go. So you said 3 vows? What are the 3 vows?
The 3 vows is chastity, poverty, and obedience.
Okay, so you don't have to take them all at the same time.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, you do? Okay, so you said your first vows were...
So that's why the vows has S afterward.
Okay, yes.
So the first vows is the first time that you make your vows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now I understand. Okay, I thought it was like you take them one at a time or
so
you kind of ease into it or something. No, okay, so that's what you mean.
Clearer to say the first professions of vows.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
Yes.
So how long ago was that you
So I made my first vows on August 13, 2016.
Is there a ceremony?
It was a ceremony.
Was your family there?
That's one of the unfortunate one that my parents couldn't come. The embassy didn't approve the visa for them.
That's terrible.
I know.
But normally families are there.
Right. But my siblings and other friends and family, we are allowed to have 50 people.
Oh, that's nice. How many of you took your vows together? Was it just you?
Two of us. So I have my companion.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we 2 families together. So it was beautiful.
Was that in St. Louis?
Here
in Houston.
In Houston.
Okay, so you came back here to Houston,
right,
to take your vows.
Because our mother house here in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, our base here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your family was there. Did some of your friends from college also show up? And
I don't have college. I mean, did I? No, I have the band that I help in St. Christopher Parish. So they were there. And college friend, I'm not sure about that. I think all families,
mostly family.
Mostly family because we have limited guests. So it was hard to have others people.
Okay. And then at this point, after you take your vows, what happens next?
So I made my vows, and a few days later, I moved to Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Okay.
And I became a substitute teacher because I have to buy the ministry there.
Okay, was that your decision or was it?
I was assigned.
You were assigned to go to Louisiana,
right? We have the community there in Lake Charles. And there was a sister there, so I joined her as a community.
Okay.
And my duty at that time is to look for ministry. So at first, I became a substitute music teacher.
Okay.
And I worked at St. Margaret Catholic School. And it was hard because I graduated University of Houston and then moved to formation. And then when the sister asked me to write my CV, my resume, I was so intimidated because I said I had zero experience. And
just college.
And I said, what should I write? Because my page is like mostly empty of my experience. And I hesitated to even give that CV to the school, so everywhere I go. So it was challenge at that time. And I remember one time that on the way back to Houston, driving for the meeting, I saw the billboards that God listen, something like that. And I just shouted in my car. I said, God, if it's not for you, I'm not going to be here anymore. It's just like the pressure and everything. It's just like, oh, I cannot handle that anymore because I want to help. I have the desire to serve, but why? I couldn't find any job and I didn't feel like I competent enough to get
because of
ministry.
Your lack of experience.
And also, Lecture is a small community.
So there are not a lot of jobs.
And everyone's there. They are there. They don't move.
That's That's true.
So they stay there.
Not many openings.
No. And the moment of the opening, the sister, the relatives will get to know before anyone else. So that's the tricky point.
So eventually, how long were you there in St. Charles?
For a year. And I did the interview in St. Teresa Catholic School in Memorial Park.
Okay.
So I got the job there, the part-time job, and I was asked the permission to move back to Houston, and the sister allowed me to be back here, and I worked at St. Teresa for 3 years.
3 years, and what were you doing there?
I was a music teacher.
It's great that you're able to use your skill in music,
Yes,
as part of your work as a religious sister. So you were there for 3 years teaching, and how old were the kids that you were teaching?
The school is pre-K 3 to 8th grade.
Okay.
So at first, the first semester before Christmas break, I was hired as a part-time music teacher. So I only take care of the pre-K 3 to 5th grade to teach the music. And the second semester that the religion teacher left, so the principal asked me, sister, is it possible if you can teach religion for the junior high? I said, I can, but I'm not sure about the schedule. Okay. So they helped me a lot, but majority of the teachers there, they said, sister, you have yourself in trouble because that's a very heavy schedule. And I didn't know how I survived.
Teaching two different subjects at the same time. Yes.
And it's just totally, but I managed it, but I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, the very heavy schedule.
It was heavy. I was so stressed at that time to try to, I'm not strong in teaching middle school. That's not my strength.
Oh, middle school is very challenging. It takes a different kind of person to teach middle school. I've substituted in middle school, and I think there was one time I said, okay, I'm never going back here to substitute for middle school. It's very different. It's extremely different from you would think because of the age, it would be similar to elementary or high school, but no, middle school is just something in and of itself, just very different. So how long were you there?
For 3 years.
For 3 years, and then after that, what brought you away from that?
So go back a little bit because I teach religion.
Yes.
For middle school, that I grew in love with the middle schoolers.
Oh, really?
Fortunately, that surprised me a lot because I used to be scared of teaching them because I didn't understand them actually. But for some reason, that these kids, they're amazing.
Okay.
And the year after, the principal hired a religion teacher, and they asked me to be a full-time music teacher, which is I will take the middle school as my students as well to teach them music.
Okay, so not just elementary, but middle school too.
And
music.
They didn't have the experience of music much before.
Oh, wow, that's hard.
But I tried to be as creative as I could be to develop different things with them and things like that. And I was glad it was helpful and they drew into it. So I taught there 2 years for like as a full-time music teacher. After that, in May 2020, 2020, that I was asked to go back to St. Louis to finish my degree in theology. So that's why I left the school.
Okay. And so you were here at helping the children's choir in St. Faustina for what period of time? It was
2017, 2018.
Okay. And I just always remember you with the little kids in mass. It takes a lot of patience. I would watch it and I'd be like, wow, that's a lot of patience for her, because the kids just won't sit still and they're standing up and they're talking and they're moving around.
Yes.
And so is that the reason why? Because you had to go back to St. Louis? Why you're no longer here at St. Faustina?
Oh no. I think that year I just came back from lectures, right?
Okay.
And then Father Dad knew that I taught at Saint Teresa Memorial Park. So it's on I-10 here. So he said, oh, he would love to have the children choir here, but didn't have anyone to oversee it yet. So would I come to help? Manny was there. And then I said, okay, I will try. I will volunteer here. So I did that. And Monica was so helpful at that time. She's so nice to me. And everyone was nice. The parents, everyone too.
So you being here was not, you weren't assigned by your order to be.
No.
So this was just volunteer.
The volunteer here.
Wow, okay.
So I volunteered here. And then after that my schedule didn't work out to continue the children choir here. So.
Because it just got too heavy, your schedule
yes.
At St. Teresa.
And the drive here is getting worse. Like after hour, yes. It's just like that's traffic. True. And by the time I come here, that it's too dark, too late for the kids too. And it's too long of a day. So I said that, oh, I would love to continue helping, but I couldn't make it anymore. But I would love to do it again if in the future.
So right now, so you went back to St. Louis and then you came back to Houston since you're finished. You got your degree.
Right.
So what are you doing right now?
Tomorrow I will start my experience within the campus. So I will work in the archives of the congregation.
Oh, wow.
So we will help the sister there to sort out the history and the pictures and everything, to arrange them. Depends on whatever the sister want me to do. For a month. And after that, I will move to Colorado to have the program learning about myself again more and refresh what's in my calling and the healing for my childhood. That's a program called. It's just, to prepare for my international year, to go out for different places of the congregation in different countries.
Oh, wow.
So that's the first step that I have to make. Okay,
so you'll spend a year studying and learning, and then after that you go out to, do you have any idea what?
So not a year, it's only 3 months for the prep program.
Excuse me. So what country do you have any idea where you're going to go?
So we have Guatemala, Ireland, and Kenya. My dream is to go to all 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
However, I don't know yet where I'm going to go first.
And how long will it be?
About 3 months each country, or even longer or shorter, depends on what available for me there.
Okay, and what will you do there?
Depends on my gift again and what available there again.
Okay.
So in Kenya, we have school or clinic. So my profession is teaching. So mostly that I will stay at the school.
And you'll teach.
Or they have the social concern. Social concern that they go to the slum to help people there. So I might be there as well. I don't really know yet. In Guatemala, they have the abandoned, the house for abandoned elderly.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And they have the house of teaching skills for youngers as well.
Okay.
And the retreat house. But of course, I don't know Spanish at this moment. So maybe I just be around and study Spanish. I don't know. That's just my thinking. I will have you updated when I have the plan. In Ireland, we have the completely health nursing home for the elderly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you think you're going to start taking Spanish lessons?
That's one of my goals. Yes.
Do you think it's going to be a little easier since you've already learned another language?
I think so. I think I need to put my mind and keep practicing it. And the vowels in Spanish is similar to Vietnamese.
Okay.
The English word that you need to memorize the words actually to be able to pronounce them.
Yes.
But Spanish, they have only 5 vowels that you need to remember. So I think it's doable, but do I have the discipline to practice it?
Well, when you're immersed, you never know when you're there.
That's true.
So do you have any words of advice for young girls who are discerning or who have it in the back of their mind to enter religious life, to become a sister?
Yes. So I would talk about something about the discernment process. It's more formal what I'm going to talk, but I will share another one that less formal. Like first, that the person need to have the faith, to have the Catholic faith, and build it as strong as they need to personally, individually. And then they will go to different congregation to see if the congregation have the charism and the way of life matches what they dream of. And then they bring that into prayer. And then imagine themselves if they in that community, how would they use their gifts to serve the congregation, to serve people? And the most importantly is, are they happy? Do they like the image that they imagine? Or they feel scared or fear of what's gonna happen? Doubting, fear is always there. But through prayer, if they experience the peace in their heart and the joy in their heart, that's the good decision. But prayer is never gonna waste it. Like the discerner need to pray all the time, because one person and yourself cannot do much of the things. And the religious calling is kind of the really weird and really out of the world. And people out from the outside, they cannot understand really what it is about. It's only God's grace and God's gift for the person to even think of being the religious brothers, sisters, or priest. So I think thinking, discerning is important. Experience are important, but prayer is really help for that person to move forward. And from my own experience, that I told myself, I love to have family for myself. I love to be a sister, religious sister. I never want to be a single person. So I have 2 choices. I eliminate one. So I have two choices to make. For my younger year, I joked with myself. I said, in religious life, you can go there and try. At least try. In marriage life, you cannot try. You have it one time and then that's it.
And that's it. Yes, you're in permanently.
So why don't you just try religious life? And then another reason is I have the desire to serve so much. Like I want to help other people. And at that time, I thought it was my goal to become a nun, to help people. But recently, actually, a year or so, that I feel like being a religious sister, does that make you happy? Does that make you closer to God? Does that make you a witness of the presence of God in people, to people? That's make me think that I made the really beautiful decision. And I have no regret of it until this moment. And one turning point for me again to decide to become a sister, I said that I need to jump 2 feet in one place. I cannot have one foot in one place and the other foot in the other place and try to look back and forth, and I will never make my decision. So at first, whoever want to take a next step of their life in discernment, they need to have their 2 feet in any choice. Like at least make that first step, and then God will lead them. If it's right for them, if it's right vocation, everything will fall into its place. They cannot see it at that moment. However, when they reflect back, it's just amazing how things are just laid out and fit perfectly like a puzzle pieces.
Like how God's plan just comes out and just shows itself.
Right. And pay attention to the touching, like the enlightenment, like some of the very small signs in their life. And it's keep repeating, and then just pay attention to those moments so they will have the clearer sign of what they want or what God's plan for
Just
them.
look out for the signs that will lead you
Don't try too hard, because sometimes when someone try too hard, it won't happen. And they missed out the seamless things, seamless side in their life.
Thank you so much for being with us and explaining and giving us your story and all of that. It's such a joy to see you here at St. Faustina again, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
As you go off and then you go onto your missions as well. Please do keep in touch with us.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Thank you.